Hello and welcome to round 2 of the 2021 Women's World Tour. We're in Italy today, the Trofeo Alfredo Binda, the Comune di Citilio, 46th edition of this race, 141.8 kilometers today, starting in Cocchio Trevisago and finishing with circuits here in Citilio. We're in the Lombardy region of Italy. Thanks for your company. Welcome along. As you can see, a beautiful sunny day for the riders in what is always an exciting race. If we say 46th edition of this one. Citilio, as you can see here, the commune municipality in the province of Varese in the region of Lombardy. We're about 60 kilometers northwest of Milan, and the birthplace of Alfredo Binda, the famous Italian cyclist. This was his birthplace. A rider 3 times a world champion, the first rider to take 5 editions of the Giro d'Italia, and 2 times a winner of Milan Sanremo, and 4 times a winner of the Tour of Lombardy. And the riders, this race really is alive out there on the circuit. Let's have a look around the town today in Citilio. Cocchio Trevisago is the town. So the riders taking a 27-kilometer loop, a long loop of 44.4, and then a finishing circuit. As we said, the birthplace of Alfredo Binda, which is why this race has the name that it does. Martin McDonald and Danny Rowe with you to take you through today's race action. Danny, a race you've done many times, and a beautiful sunny day for the riders today.
It is. It's absolutely beautiful out there today, and yeah, it is a race that I've actually ridden 3 times myself, and one of my absolute favourites on the international circuit. It was really suited me as a rider, with punchy climbs, really up and down all day. This is the junior race.
Let's have a look back at the junior race. Sorry, Danny, just Anina Atosalo of Team Ritka, the Finnish national junior road race champion, winning the Piccolo Trofeo Alfredo Binda. You can see there she's got the national champion's jersey there of Finland. Great to see the Finns with another successful rider coming through. And Danny, this Piccolo Alfredo Binda, this is an important race for the young riders.
Yeah, it really is. It's such a big opportunity to race kind of alongside, I guess, the elite women on the same day. They get the same support in terms of, you know, the course. It's really prestigious for the juniors, and one that a lot of the teams are looking out for to spot their next superstars that they can poach for their team. So yeah, it's a really important one for the young riders, and one that a British rider, Pfeiffer Georgie, has won herself before, and now she's racing for Team DSM and racing today. So yeah, it's a fantastic race for the youngsters to really learn how to race and really step up into the elite ranks.
And good to sort of race on the same course and on the same roads.
Yeah, exactly, Marty, and they can really use that for experience for the future as well, and learn how to position well into the corners, into the vital 2 climbs on that last lap of 17.7 kilometers. So it's a fantastic opportunity for them to develop as young up-and-coming elite riders.
And the riders, of course, they will then, as Danny said, riders like Pfeiffer Georgie can come back years later and race here as an elite rider. And so we see some great shots around Citilio today. The 46th edition of Trofeo Alfredo Binda, the Comune di Ticciario, 141.8 kilometers. We've seen this, the Piccolo Trofeo Alfredo Binda, won by the young Finnish junior national champion Annina Atosalo of Team Ritka. This junior race, very important for the development of the next generation of riders. And with no under 23 category in women's cycling, these races, these junior races, which a lot of the time form part of the Nations Cup, the junior riders generally sort of turn pro at 18 years old, and then we sort of watch them develop, and then we see riders like Pfeiffer Georgie and Elisa Balsamo and those sort of riders coming through. So this is the next generation, and the next, we hope, big rider, top rider from Finland, Annina Atosalo. There's your top 10. Noelle Rucci from Switzerland, Eglantine Rea from France. Then you've got the Italians, Varale, Ciobocco, Basilico, Fiorin Regini. You've got Ainara Albert there in 9th place, and Casagrande in 10th spot. Let's have a look back to this morning. Thanks for your company, Martin McDonald and Danny Rowe, with you to take you through today's race action. There you can see your teams heading to the sign-on. Good to see the American national champion here in Ruth Winder and Elisa Longo Borghini. What can she do in this race today? Winner in 2013, Lizzie Deignan. You can see there in the centre, making her first appearance for the team today. Floria Mackay, there's Team DSM. SD Works, arguably the team of the season so far. Team Bike Exchange, Amanda Spratt there, of a rider that's finished second in this race in the past. Movistar, they're here without Annemiek van Vleuten, but they have the likes of Katrina Allerud and Leah Thomas. Lay BTC Ljubljana with Mavi Garcia, you saw there, the Spanish champion. This was the rollout and the route, so a 27-kilometer route, which is Loop 1. This is the start town. Then they come through the finish, and then they do the long loop of 44.4 kilometers, and then they get into the interesting finishing circuit, which is 4 laps of a 17.6 kilometer circuit. Plenty of climbs along the route. So here's the course map for the riders. Not too bad in terms of the winds today. That was your you can see there your first loops, and then into Chitilio, and it's an interesting finish. And this race is so unpredictable, given the terrain that we have. We've had individual winners, group sprint winners. We've had small breakaway winners in this race before. So looking at the course map here, Danny, it's one of those races. It's so difficult to predict what can happen in this race on a given day.
Yeah, it is, Marty, and that's what I think makes this race so exciting. Like you said, it's its 46th year, and it's the most established one-day race on the Women's World Tour circuit. It was a race that I've raced myself on multiple occasions, and one of my favourites. And like you said, it's just so unpredictable. We've seen pure sprinters, the likes of Corinne Rivera, win this race, and also pure climbers, so Emma Pooley, for example. So super exciting, and yeah, I can't predict what's going to happen today, but I know we're going to see some fantastic racing.
Beautiful scenery you can see. So as you can see there, on each circuit, on the finishing circuit, so we're going to come into live pictures on the finishing circuit. We've got the 2 climbs on the finishing circuit that the riders will tackle. The Casal Zugno, which is just about 840 meters, average gradient of 7%. Then we have the Cuvio, the Orino climb, which is 3.9 kilometers, average gradient of 3.9%, goes up to 300 meters, and always generally the racing comes in really quick in to that climb. So they've got both of those along that route, and the final time up the Orino comes with 7.5 kilometers to go. So we're getting close to live pictures, round 2 of the Women's World Tour for 2021. Chantal van der Broek Black after that victory in the Strade Bianche, which she took ahead of Elisa Longo-Borghini. So they're sitting first and second in the Women's World Tour this year. Anna van der Breggen not here today, third in that one. So Annemiek van Vleuten, fourth in Strade Bianche. She's not here today. Cecily Uttrup Ludwig, the popular rider for the FDJ Nouvelle Aquitaine Futuroscope team, still hunting for that first big World Tour victory. Can she take it today? Demi Vollering in 6th, Marianne Vos in 7th, and Marianne Vos, a 4-time winner of this race in her career. Marta Cavalli in 8th, Cassia Nuvia-Doma in 9th, and Ella Van Dijk 10th in the World Tour. In terms of the youth standings, Vita Music of FDJ is leading in the youth classification ahead of Vittoria Guazzini and Julia van Bokhoven. She's third. In terms of the team classification in the Women's World Tour, it's SD Works that are on the top of the general classification with 872 points. Trek Segafredo second with 404, and then that FDJ Nouvelle Aquitaine Futuroscope team third with 304 points. When we get to live pictures, just to bring you up to speed with a few of the results so far today. First, Queen in the Mountains was taken by Ursula Pintar. She took that one. The first intermediate sprint of the day, that came at 9.8 kilometers with 132 to go. That was taken by Tanya Erath with 108.8 to go. It was Marta Bastianelli that took that sprint. She had a brief little attack off the front at that point. We've also had some breakaways. We've had some attacks from Paulina Royackers, who was chased down by Audrey Cordon-Rago, the French champion from Trek Segafredo. No one was wanting to let her go up the road today. And 70k to go, we had Marla Rusa and Marta Jaskulska. We had a bit of a puncture for Anna Shackley of SD Works, but she was back into the team. And just before we went live, we did hear that Godurzo and Royackers had got off the front today. But yeah, lots to go here today on this one. But Danny, just take us through the circuit. We get the view here, Lombardy, and the way Citilio sits in the hills here.
Yeah, it's a absolutely stunning circuit. So the riders will take on a short lap of 27 kilometers with one climb in that lap. They would have already finished this. They're now on the finishing circuits. The long lap of around 70 kilometers with one narrow climb, and that is always quite a heated moment within the race. It's quite a stressful start to what I would say really kicks off the race. It's 3.8 kilometers at 5%, but the fact that it's narrow means that there's a big fight up to the start. Now we've got our live pictures. This is Pauline Royackers from Live Racing. It's great to see Paulina up there. I raced with Paulina in my last racing season in 2018. She's looking great here today with Tatiana Godurzo of Ale.
With 45.2 kilometers to go, so good attack here. Paulina Royackers off the front for the Live Racing team, and then for Ale BTC Ljubljana, you can see you've got Tatiana Godurzo. Former world champion is Tatiana Godurzo, 36 now. Won that world title back in 2009. And coming into this one, Danny, well, we were following the races before we came to live pictures. Live Racing have been absolutely lighting it up so far in this race. They were trying to launch Sofia Bertazzolo up the road. I've been really impressed how the Live Racing team have really just gelled as a team so far since the start of the season. They've looked really good.
Yeah, they've been really impressive. I thought they were really, really impressive both in Het Nieuwsblad and La Samin that we commentated on in the last couple of weeks. It's great to see them really come together as a unit, where actually a lot of the riders are new to riding together, and they've started this race by taking it on. And we know that really, it works. You're not having to chase, and it's a tactic that SD Works have been very successful at so far. To take the race into your own hands means that generally you're going to be one up on your competitors. You're not having to chase and try and work out the moves of the other rider. That looked like Tiff Cromwell there from Canyon Canyon SRAM racing just at the front of this bunch now. It looks like the group has whittled down, and these two riders off the front are just about to be reeled in, which is quite a shame. They're quite well matched, actually, Marty. Paulina having a result of 29th at Strade Bianche, and Tatiana 34th. So both in good shape. They are about to be reeled back, and with 44.5 kilometres to go, I do think we're going to see multiple attacks from teams that don't want to take the likes of Marianne Vos to the line, those top sprinters, and they'll use the climbs to try and do that.
Is it tough to look beyond someone like Marianne Vos today in this race? She knows how to. She knows. I mean, Marianne Vos knows how to win every race, but this one. It just seems to just really suit her skill set perfectly, and just the run-in will everyone will get to see the run-in to the finish, but just through the sort of run-in down fast off the descent, through that roundabout, then that right turn, and then that just slight uphill sprint finish.
Yeah, she's definitely my pick today. Definitely not an outsider, and to have won this race 4 times already, she knows how to win it in different scenarios of how the race is panning out. And I think because she can climb, and she's such a punchy climber, and obviously an absolute top-class sprinter, she really can do it all. I also think the sprint really suits Marianne Vos as a rider. It's 3%. It's 300 metres at 3%, so it's a really tough finish. You go around a right-hand bend. It's a really fast run in to the last bend. It can be quite hectic with a roundabout at about 500 meters to go. So positioning is really key into that last right-hand corner. But for Marianne Vos, I think she's definitely got the legs. She's raced twice this year already. She was 7th in Strade Bianche and 3rd in GP Ottingen. So we know that she's in form. So yeah, she is my pick for today, Marty. But again, like we've said, so many different scenarios can pan out in this race, and that's what makes it so exciting. And I don't think teams are going to want to take Marianne Vos to the line. And even if she comes to the line, I think they're going to want to try and hurt her legs on the climb before that.
We are on the Orino climb. This is the main climb. So let's just run you through all your teams that you're watching out for. You can see 5 seconds is the gap. So Jumbo-Visma, you can see there in the yellow and black in the centre. So you're watching out for Marianne Vos in those colours today. Liv Racing, you've seen those colours up the road. SD Works, they've got Chantal Vandenbroek black, Caroline Canuel, Elena Cecchini, Neve Fisher black, Ashley Moolman-Passio, and Anna Shackley, or the Shack as she's known to her team, the young Scottish rider from SD Works. Parketel Valkenburg. So they've got Julia van Bokhoven, who's sitting 3rd in the best young rider classification. For B Pink, watch out for the likes of Sylvia Zanardi. You've got Saveto Makimo team. Then you've got LA BTC Ljubljana, Movistar, Tibco SVB. They are here with Lawrence Stevens. Watch out for Sarah Gigante, the Australian rider who everyone is super excited about. Got a bit of a move now going off the front, and it is the FDJ colours that are now going off the front. Is this Marta Cavalli that's now making a move here for FDJ? So this out on the arena climb, starting to get some moves now off the front. We've also got Born to Win, Top Girls Fassa Bortolo, and we've got AR Monex, Kogas, Valcar Travel and Service, Aroma Italia. And now starting to make this move. So the arena climb, 8 seconds is the time gap. So we can see Danny just inside this sort of 44k to go here that we've got the aerial shot, the helicopter shot of the peloton. It is already quite whittled down under the pressure so far. But this rider here, Marta Cavalli, new signing for FDJ this year, really impressive riding in Strade Bianche. And we know how motivated the home riders, when you hear of Longa Borghini and the way Marta Cavalli talk when they get to race a World Tour race on home soil. Yeah,
it's super special for them, and she's really improved in the last couple of years. She's only 23 and she's had 2 top 10 results already this year, 8th in Strade Bianche, 9th in Het Nieuwsblad, and this is a fantastic move. She's got across to Tatiana Gudurzo and Paulina Royackers already, and she's almost just trying to going straight past these 2 riders as they come up to the top of this climb. So they're about to crest the top now in the next couple of 100 meters as they turn right and start the descent. Then we have a fast descent and a flat finish all the way to that last right-hand corner. So that's a fantastic move from the young Italian rider, and this group has really whittled down already, Marty, with still 42.5 kilometers to go.
Over the top of the Queen of the Mountains point there. So Marta Cavalli takes that one with at the top of that, and takes the little prize on the top of that. But for her, it's all about now trying to get a groove off the front. Marlon Russo, you can see there with the water bottle in the mouth and with the yellow and the orange top of Ali BTC Ljubljana. As we said, she's had a bit of a dig off the front already today, as Marlon Russo, super strong rider, is the Swiss rider, new signing for Ali BTC Ljubljana. And we now got 3 at the head of the race: Tatiana Gudurzo, Marta Cavalli, 2 Italians, and then Paulina Royackers here in the purple of the Liv Racing team. This young Italian, you can see the Italian stripes around the arms of her jersey. Exciting young rider. And it's the attack now. Audrey Cordon-Ragot goes for Trek Segafredo. So Trek Segafredo now see the danger of Marta Cavalli getting clear. Audrey had an attack earlier on in the day. Super strong is the French rider now, as she starts the descent to try and get herself across to that breakaway group. Trek Segafredo, I think they've got a smaller team today with Lizzie Dynan, Lisa Longoborghini, Audrey Cordon here, Taylor Wiles, and Ruth Winder. I think they've been missing, I think, the power and the strength of Lizzie Dynan so far, but SD Works have been just so dominant in the way that they've ridden so far this season. That maybe, would you feel that Trek Segafredo might be just sort of smarting a little bit from the dominance of SD Works so far this season?
Potentially, but I do think that, you know, Trek have still got so much to give, and like you said, I think they have missed Lizzie Dynan being on top form. We know she missed that vital move in Het Nieuwsblad, the first race of the season, and then unfortunately she got ill, so she missed out on Strade Bianche, but she's back today. But look at Audrey Ragot go. You know, she's been on fire this season, and she's been on her own for a lot of these races. She's found herself only alongside the likes of Elisa Longo-Borghini, and they haven't been able to really use the numbers to their advantage. This is a fantastic move here by Audrey. She's got the 3 riders in sight in front of her. She can use that motorbike. She knows this course really well. She's ridden it on multiple occasions, and this is really good. This will give the confidence of the team behind, for the likes of Lizzie Dynan and Elisa Longo-Borghini, that they can just sit back now and wait and make the likes of SD Works chase or try and get across to this move. So this is a fantastic move now from Trek, and it's going to put the other teams under pressure to do something behind.
And we're starting to get some counters here from Movistar. So they now start to wind this one up. So the counter attacks here are coming thick and fast. Audrey Cordon-Ragot, Trek Segafredo, French national road race champion, is up to that breakaway, and you saw a couple of her stats on the screen there, and that Tour de Bretagne victory 2013. I remember that was the first time I met Audrey and Elisa Longo-Borghini, you can see in the Italian national champions jersey, and that's a trademark move for her. Movistar today: Katrina Allerud, Jelena Erich, Alicia Gonzalez, Paula Patino, got Gloria Rodriguez, and then Leah Thomas is the other rider that is in the team today.
Looks like Anushka Costa from Team Jumbo-Visma on the front. They'll for sure be working for Marianne Vos today, who's already won this race 4 times, but she's so keen, she's so hungry. The fact that she's won it 4 times before, I don't think really matters at all. She's always so happy to take every single victory. even though she has almost ticked every single race off in her Palmares. But these 4 riders now look to be working really, really strongly together. Having Audrey, you know, is such a powerful rider to have in this group of 4. She's such a strong time trial rider. So it's going to put the pressure on the riders or the teams that have missed this move from behind to chase.
7 seconds is the gap from our now 4-rider breakaway group. Audrey Cordon-Rago, Marta Cavalli, Paulina Royackers and Tatiana Guderzo. Good to see Trek Segafredo up here. They're also going to get the reinforcements in the next weeks or so from the likes of Eleanor Backsteady's coming back from that broken leg last year. So they'll be welcoming a lot of those riders back into the team. You can see here on the descent. And this Danny's a great shot here. I was watching back to one of Lizzie Dignan's victories. I think it was 2016 when she got away with, it was Yolanda Neff that was up the road in that one. And Lizzie just was dropped on the car, got back on, just threw herself down the descent and got up to Yolanda Neff. And this descent here shows just why we get that different blend of riders that can win this one, because this descent is really technical. And we've seen, you know, we talk about climbs all the time, but we've seen it, you know, especially in recent years, how much the descents can make a difference. And when you've got, you know, you are a good descender, the difference that can make in trying to get away in these races when we come down towards the finish.
Oh, it's so important, and you can see that Pauline Royackers has just been distanced off the back there due to, unfortunately, her confidence in descending. And she's going to have to use that energy to get back onto this group now, whereas Audrey and the FDJ rider, you know, they descended quickly and they can just relax and get back into their style. But Tatiana Guderzo and Pauline Royackers had to expend their energy to then chase back onto that group in front because they got distance on the descent. So absolutely, especially in a race like this, Marty, where you've only got a couple of kilometres of flat into the finish after the descent, you don't want to have to make any unnecessary efforts due to, unfortunately, not having the descending skills and being gapped on the descent.
Like Anita Costa going again here for Jumbo-Visma. We saw the colours of Lizzie Dignan from the helicopter shot as well. She's got a distinctive style, as has Lizzie Dignan, always good to pick out from the helicopter shots. DSM, there she is, just in the blue there. You can see the British rider. We're heading in towards Chitillo. Looks like this group now. You can see on the descent that it is thinning out, and the gap to our 4 leaders is just coming down here, but it has really shaken things up, and there'll be a few riders chasing to get back on after that descent. So the contact is made here as we head in towards the finish. We've got to think back as well in terms of, if we look at solo victories, Kasia Niewiadoma back in 2018, she won this race on her own on a completely different day, crossed the line in a big thick rain jacket. That was the weather on that day. So a little flick of the elbow. I think it's like Alison Jackson that's getting up to our group here. This is 1 kilometre to go into the finish. And that group behind definitely thinned down, but Audrey Cordon just still powering on at the front. If we've seen her teammates Lizzie Dignan, and we also caught a glimpse of Elisa Longoborghini, who was also in that group. We'll be able to sort of get a clearer picture as we come off the descent and just get an idea of who is in that group. We're seeing those the Valcar Travel and Service jerseys. My pick of the day, Danny and I were having a chat before we came on air. Elisa Balsamo is my pick of the day as we swing right here. So when we get down there, we'll have a closer look just to see if my pick for the day is going to keep my hopes and dreams alive of making the prediction today. But it looks like Marlon Ruiza that's going on the left here. But Zolo, so we got a little sprint out here for the intermediates on the line this time. Anuska Costa still up there, so 2 laps to go this time. So they go through the line, 2 to go. Amanda Spratt we can see in there. So Amanda Spratt still in the group there for Team Bike Exchange.
This is a really tough part of the circuit, Marty. Now we've just seen the finish line. There's a climb of 3.5 kilometers at only 3.3% average, but the final 700 meters is steep and narrow and up to 7%. And this is where we often see the explosive riders really making their moves. And this is where positioning is really vital. I found myself, when riding this course, this is almost even more important than the final climb, the positioning into the narrow last 700 meters of this climb that we're about to see. And this is where the key moves went. So if I found myself at the front, you know, it would be so much easier to stay in contention with those key riders over the top. And unfortunately, you know, if I wasn't in position, it was so much more stressful. You're having to expend so much more energy. And even then, you didn't find yourself back at the front from the top. So had to chase. And then by the time you chase back on, you were nearly hitting that second climb. So your positioning into this first climb of this circuit is absolutely vital. We're going to see these riders take the left-hand turn, which there is always a fight for, and come up to this climb now. But it is Canyon SRAM Racing. It looks like Elena Cecchini. Sorry, it's Amia Lusic from Canyon SRAM with Bertazzolo on her wheel for Liv Racing.
Alison Jackson's there. Marlon Rusa here comes up. We'll get a closer look. I think Katia Ragusa might be one of the other riders that's in that group. There's Ariana Mine, you can see there in the national champions jersey of Japan, but there's the move to our leaders. Good to see Alison Jackson up there representing for Canada at the front for Liv Racing. This is always an aggressive rider, is Alison Jackson. So good to see her in there. It's still a fairly decent sized group that we've got behind. So we have got Anuska Costa, and the rider there on the back, it is Katia Ragusa, who's in that black jersey now of the AR Monex team. So you're watching out for those colours. That was the team, Danny, that was Astana last year. Now the Monex team. So Katia Ragusa, she really impressed me at the back end of last season in some of the classics. And you see Lauren Stevens there on the right of the peloton, the right of your picture, on that bright yellow bike for Team Tibco. But there's an aerial shot there of your breakaway group. So some strength in there with Amelia Suk, with Marlon Rusa. 11 seconds is your time gap. Do you think here with the teams represented at the front that they would like, there's a confirmation, there's a Costa, Rusa, Amelia Suk, Jackson and Ragusa. There's Ragusa wearing 144, so a new jersey that we haven't seen them really on our screens so far this season. That's Amelia Suk, class rider. With no riders in here for SD Works or Trek Segafredo, do you think this move kind of may be doomed in terms of not having those teams represented at the front?
Yeah, absolutely doomed, Marty. And I think what we're going to see is when the riders take that left-hand bend, that'll be the chance for the teams that have missed this move to launch their attacks to get over. So this is the left-hand bend that I was talking about before. The road surface is very uneven and it gets really narrow in the last 500 meters of this climb. So there's always a fight into that left-hand corner. And it's a real launch pad for anyone who's missed the moves, trying to get over to moves to get across, or for riders to make their race-winning moves. And I think that's what you're going to see behind. And I do think you're going to see this group coming back together, or riders potentially getting over to this group as Anuska Costa from Team Jumbo-Visma attacks.
So on to the climb here, Ruth Winder on the front there for Trek Segafredo. So this is the Castle Junior climb, so 7% average gradient, and goes up to 350 meters. And Katia Ragusa, that's just on the front there, but Anuska Costa here for Jumbo-Visma, former national champion, going clear. And always an aggressive rider is Anuska Costa, and it's the colours of Team Tibco on the front as they try and get up to the chasers. 32.2 kilometers to go, 2 laps to go here in the second round of the 2021 Women's World Tour, the Trofeo Alfredo Binda, the Comune de Ticilio, the 46th edition of this race. We are on the 4 finishing circuits of 17.6 kilometers, and your lone leader in the yellow and black here for Jumbo-Visma is Anuska Costa from the Netherlands, and this climb is about 840 meters in length, and plenty of attacks coming in from the group behind. The last time we were here was in 2019. The race cancelled last year because of the COVID pandemic. Marianne Vos was the winner in 2019 in a sprint just ahead of Amanda Spratt. Cecilie Uttrup Ludwig was 4th. Anastasia Koshina was 4th. Cecchini 5th. Nuvia Doma 6th. Amelia Farlene 7th. Corin Rivera, Sarai Paladin and Erica Magnaudi was your top 10 on that occasion. Coming into today, Chantal van der Broek Black leading in the Women's World Tour classification with 400 points. Evita Muzic of FDJ leading in the Best Young Riders classification, sitting at the top of this one. But Anuska Costa here for Jumbo-Visma. Good to see Anuska back, sort of looking a little bit more like her old self here, Danny. She's always been a sort of, we kind of thought of her a lot as a sprinter, but we know what you've raced with Marianne Vos on the same team. Mariana, if someone's got the legs on the day, they get the freedom, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what made riding with Mariana so special. It wasn't just the Marianne Vos show, I guess, and riders did get their opportunities to race for themselves as well. So this is a fantastic move from the 27-year-old Anuska Costa. I've raced with Anuska as well. It's great to see her back, like you said, in the form that she's had in the last couple of years. She won the Lotto Belgium Tour in 2017. She's been 2nd in Grazia all over GC. She really is a real rounder. She's good on the climbs and she can sprint. So it's a great position to be in now as she gets to the bottom of the descent. She's got a couple of kilometers now to really get into her groove before turning right and hitting that final climb that we're going to see on the penultimate time. So good move here from Anuska. She's getting aero. It's Marlon Russa from Ale now on the front. She doesn't want, obviously, Anuska to stay away. And this is where it gets really strung out. What I was talking about earlier, the positioning into the bottom of that climb is so vital because it's a really steep descent that comes straight after, and then you're on this big, wide, fast road. So it's really hard to move up, and you're having to fight your way all the way to the front to get in contention for the next climb, only 2 kilometers away.
Jumbo-Visma, great to see these colours now in the women's pro peloton. You have to start as a sort of continental level team when you first start off, even if they are a men's world tour team. But that's where they're headed. That's what they have designs on, is becoming a world tour team. And Kanya Stram, very much Danny riding really defensively here. We saw Emma Lusic getting away into that group, but Kanya Stram riding quite defensive today. Cassia Nuvia-Doma, as we said, former winner of this race, but was talking ahead of Strada Bianchi that she really wanted that one. Didn't quite happen on that day for her, but the win in 2018, the start of that year, as we just see the group getting whittled down again after that December. This was kind of one of the races where we really saw Cassia Nuvia-Doma in 2019 start to emerge.
Yeah, absolutely, and she's got to be a top tip pick for today, Marty. She did have a really great ride in Strada Bianchi, but I think she was disappointed. She's podiumed in that race on four occasions, so she was hungry for that win. But yeah, interesting to see Canyon SRAM riding defensively, but actually I think a good card to play for them, to not use too much energy. You'd say, looking at the roster, it is a great team. Hannah Barnes is also going really well, Amia Lusic, but maybe not quite the strength and depth that SD Works do have today. So actually maybe a defensive card is a good option for them. especially with still 30 kilometres to go. And I'd love to see Cassia go for it again, but I do think Hannah Barnes is looking good, and she can sprint. She's really changed as a rider in the last couple of years, from almost a pure sprinter now to a real all-rounder. And we know that this course lends itself to the all-rounders, the riders that can get over these 2 climbs on the course but sprint as well.
And coming across the gap, it's a Canyon Strength jersey, and there she is, right on schedule. If you couldn't have timed that one better if you tried there, Danny. Hannah Barnes comes across the gap like an express train, you would say. That's a good move of her. Taylor Wiles from Trek Segafredo is the rider right on the wheel. So good to see Taylor Wiles in here, and Amanda Spratt up towards the front there. So I was just about to say as well, as Anuska gets swept up, we're all back together there. But SD Works have been really quiet in this race so far, ominously quiet.
They have,
in
they
this
have
one.
Actually. I've hardly seen a jersey, actually, Marty, now you say it. And now this looks like Tiff Cromwell from Canyon SRAM. And she's a rider we haven't seen much of already this year. But she can do it all as well. She is definitely an all-rounder, and this is a great move now from Tiff Cromwell. She's ridden this race on many occasions. She really is, you know, she's been around for a long time, although she is still young. She's 32, and she's been riding in the pro peloton since 2010. So she really knows how to race. She's such a experienced rider, both tactically in the peloton and technically. She can descend like an absolute demon. It's great to see Canyon SRAM now becoming more aggressive. She's got that really long style, Tiff Cromwell. You can always pick her out. She's really aero on the bike, but a really good place to attack. This is the start of the second climb, where it starts to ramp up. So for Tiff, she's not a pure climber, but this is going to give her definitely sliding room if there are fireworks into the steeper section of this climb.
Ruth Winder, the rider on the front here for the Trek Segafredo team. That's the colours there of Team Tibco, just starting to move up. That's Sarah Gigante, I think, is just coming up towards the front here. So Team Tibco, Mavi Garcia in the centre of the peloton in that Spanish national champions jersey. Just caught a glimpse as well of a couple of the Movistar team. Katrina Allerud is a rider that the Norwegian rider who's been riding raced well last season at the back end of last year in the Giro Rosa. There's Mavi Garcia.
SD Works riders there, sorry, Marty, Elena Cecchini, and it looks like Ashley Moolman-Passio. And I'm expecting big things from Ashley Moolman-Passio today. And I think she's going to have to launch her attack. If she's not doing it now, she's only got one more opportunity to do that in the last lap of this course with both climbs. And she's a rider who is a pure climber, so she would have to go at the bottom of the climb to really make her attack worthwhile. So it's good to see Ashley Moolman-Passio back in the race and back in the, or to start in the SD Works colours. I know she's really happy in that team this year. They've obviously started fantastically as a team, but Ruth Winder's effort, good effort here from Ruth to reel back Tiff Cromwell. Tiff's not given up, but it's obviously in Trek's interest to make this climb hard. You'd say, looking at their roster of riders, that they haven't got a pure sprinter, I guess, who could contend with someone like Marianne Vos. And for the likes of Lizzie Deignan and Annalisa Longo Borghini, the harder the race, the better. I think they really are the riders who profit off a tough race. And you can see now on the left-hand side, it is another Trek Segafredo rider. It's Taylor Wiles now who is counter-attacking. So that's obviously their idea of a race tactic today. Ruth Winder's made it hard up that climb, and now Taylor Wiles is going on the counter-attack.
Distinctive style that Taylor Wiles has. You can see just how this peloton now is being strung out here under the pressure of the constant attacks So it's good to see the US national champions jersey back in the race as well today. And Ruth Winder working hard for Trek Segafredo. And then Trek very much the front. There's your Italian national champion in that green, white and red jersey of Elisa Longo Borghini, and Lizzie Deignan just behind her.
I think you're going to see big moves coming from Elisa Longo Borghini and or Lizzie Deignan. You can see now it's Canyon Shram that are going on the attack again with SD Works on their wheel, Elisa Longo Borghini and Lizzie Deignan.
Cassia Niewiadoma on the attack, and it's the Tivco rider is Sarah Gigante, the Australian rider who has had a great start to the year back home at Niewiadoma, but now Longo Borghini kicks up the left-hand side. Cecilie Uttrup Ludwig, you can see the white and blue colours of FDJ Nouvelle Aquitaine Futuroscope coming through, but this is Longo Borghini's move now on this climb, the familiar style of Elisa Longo Borghini, as you said, the winner in 2013, and you can see how much she's having to make Cecilie Uttrup Ludwig dig in to try and get on here. We see Mariana Vos just in the background as well there, Danny, I think, but Longo Borghini looking strong as always here.
That was a fantastic move there from the whole of the Trek Segafredo team, with Ruth Winder starting that climb and putting on a good pace for Taylor Wiles to then counter-attack. And I think what Elisa Longo Borghini did there, she could see or sense that Cassia Niewiadoma was actually struggling. And she's thought, actually, I've got good legs here, and I'm gonna try and go round. So great move here from Elisa Longo Borghini. She's got a couple of 100 metres before she crests the top of this climb, but it's really putting pressure on the riders behind. Cecilie Uttrup Ludwig from Team FDJ having to really work hard to try and close this gap to the Italian rider.
You saw Cecilie Uttrup Ludwig just look down and look around at anyone else in that group behind us. It's just round that hairpin. You can see how quick that they're taking this climb under the pressure of the Italian. She does say in interviews around that this is an almost local one for her, and was last year very much vocal about having to race in, she said she had to be braver in her racing, and that is definitely what she has done. Soraya Paladin, good to see Paladin in that chasing group as well for Liv, with Cecilie Uttrup Ludwig, who's wearing 41 for FDJ, but knows this course. And look at the gap, and there's you can just see the colours there of rolling a huge gear. Mavi Garcia on the back for LA BTC Ljubljana. So the Spanish national champion is on the back of that group, but it's the Italian champion here, though, Longo Borghini, who is going to crest the summit of this one with just inside 25 kilometers to go. And for Elisa Longo Borghini, this is what she needs to do. When you look at the rest of that, you look at that group behind, the Mariana Vosses of this world, Elisa Longo Borghini, if she's going to win this one, she's got to go long, and this is a gutsy move, and we've seen her do it time and time again, starting to launch attacks just a little bit further out. We saw in Strada Bianchi the way she went. She missed out to Chantal Vanderbroek Black there. She attacked her on that final climb, but this is what Elisa Longo Borghini can do.
She can, but it's really great to see her having more confidence in her own ability, Marty. Like you said, she said in an interview that she needs to be more brave. And I actually think Lizzie Deignan's really helped her in almost finding that confidence. They were such an incredible duo last year. And I feel like Elisa now knows her inner strength, and she's confident to be able to put it out there on the road and make moves like this. And you can see the riders behind are having to work so hard to get back to Elisa Longo Borghini. She's already had 2 fantastic results, 10th in Het Nieuwsblad, 2nd in Strada Bianchi, and riding in such a fantastic, confident way. So I'd love to see Elisa Longo Borghini take a victory again here in her local race.
Cassia Nuviadoma on the front here for Kanya Sram. We know what she can do on a descent as well. Danny, if we think back to La Course last year, that was an amazing day, amazing race. So Cassia Nuviadoma made such a difference on the descents around Nice in that one in the opening part of the race. And we think back to how Elisa Longo-Borghini and Lizzie Dignan really kind of did that sort of double team attack, which netted Lizzie Dignan the victory in that one ahead of Mariana Vos. But we have got a really select group now. Elisa Longo-Borghini is your leader. That chasing group of Mariana Vos, Cassia Nuviadoma, Soraya Paladin, Sestri Ludwig and Mavi Garcia. And this attack on that climb there, Danny's absolutely shredded to this group now. And it's difficult to see what teams now in that group behind are kind of left to do the work.
Yeah, it has really blown to pieces, and it only looks like a group of around 15 riders now behind this group in between Elisa Longo-Borghini and what's left of the peloton. So these 5 riders really need to work together now to try and get back in contention to Elisa Longo-Borghini. And just looking at the teams here, it is Mariana Vos from Team Jumbo-Visma who's made it into this group. And SD Works are going to really have to chase to get back into contention. So Mariana Vos is obviously feeling really good to be able to get into this move over that climb, because they were definitely going full for the majority of that climb, especially when Elisa Longo-Borghini attacked. So I think that will give Mariana Vos real confidence in her shape if they do manage to get back to Elisa Longo-Borghini.
There's the aerial shot of your next chasing group on the road. There's Amanda Spratt, you can see, wearing 61. SD Works are the team very much that have missed out on this one. So SD Works going to have to do the work here to try and get back up to the leading group. Let's have a little look around. I think that's Sarah Gigante just on the back there for Team Tibco. Those are SD Works colours. Looks like Chantal van den Broek Black on the front, just from that shot. 6 seconds back to your chasers, 21 seconds back to that next group. There's confirmations of Vos, Garcia, Nuviadoma, Ludwig and Paladin on the back here in the purple of Live Racing as they are on the descent now. And you can just see Mavi Garcia, the Spanish champion, just having to back off Mariana Vos just a little bit here. We saw Mavi last year a little bit, didn't we, Danny, that she on the descent just looks like she a little bit of work done over the winter, just having to back off a little bit of Mariana Vos.
Yeah, we know Mariana Vos is one of the best descenders in the world, so it does look like Mavi Garcia has definitely improved her descending. It was Strada Bianchi, I believe, with her fantastic move last year that she was finding herself in a bit of trouble on the descent. So looks like she has worked on that. We know how important it is, and this group is coming back together now. We're going to have a bigger peloton coming into the final lap of this course, the last 20 kilometers now. We've got Elisa Longo-Borghini with a group of 5 chasing. SD Works are the team that have surprisingly missed out on this move, so they are going to have to do the work. It was Chantal van den Broek Black on the front on the last shots that we saw in that world leaders jersey.
Aggressive attacking days. Elisa Longo-Borghini, the Italian and national champion, flying the flag as she always does for the home nation. Look at this, out of the saddle, really now, just giving it absolutely everything that she's got to try and stay clear. They are going to go through Citilio for the penultimate times with 17.6 kilometers to go. Then they'll head back out. 2 climbs on the finishing circuit. That's Castel Junior climb and then the Orino climb. This rider here who missed out in Strada Bianca on that victory to Chantal van den Broek Black, she will be happy with this scenario here, Danny. I think being alone, being able She's double national champion. She's the champion in the time trial. When we think back to the back end of last season in Madrid on that flat circuit where she sat off the front of a race that, you know, we don't normally see solo attacks in that manner. But she will be happy to be alone, I think, here, having sort of with her mind casting back to Strade Bianche, where she had Chantal van den Broek Black, who just kind of sat on. Thus was the tactics of SD Worx on the day.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it'll actually be interesting to see what happens in this group behind, because Marianne Vos is in this group. The other four aren't going to be super motivated to work and essentially bring Marianne Vos to the front of this race, because you could almost predict that unless they were to be able to drop Marianne Vos, that she would be able to win in a sprint. So it's an interesting compilation of riders behind Elisa Longo Borghini. But like you said, Elisa is fantastic of getting in her own head and being able to really put out a long time trial effort. That's the sort of effort that really suits her as a rider. So she'll be able to get into her groove, into her threshold of pace. She knows exactly what she'll be able to sustain for this last 18 kilometers of the race, and head down and really go for it. Unfortunately for her at the moment, this is the part of the course that doesn't lend itself to a solo rider. It's long, it's straight, it's a wide road. So the riders behind will probably just about have Elisa Longo Borghini in their sights. And obviously when you can see a rider in front, it really gives you that extra motivation to chase even harder. If it's twisty and up and down and the rider's out of sight, generally the riders behind will kind of, you know, give up and not be so motivated to chase, because it seems like they're further away than they actually potentially are. So I think Elisa will be happy to hit the second climb, or the first climb in the course that comes 3 kilometers after the finish line. She would have just gone under the 1 kilometer to go banner now. With 18 kilometers to go. It's going to be a long way out there for Elisa Longo Borghini, but I do think she could manage a solo victory today.
And here you can see the run in here, the Italian national champion. She knows this course, swings right. This is a good shot here that you can see that that's the way this finish here in Citilio just rises up towards the line. The wind not too heavy for the riders today, but you can see those flags just being buffeted. Marianne Vos just leading the chasing group around. So 3 former winners in the first 2 groups here in Marianne Vos, 4 times winner of this race. Cassia Nuviadoma, this rider here. Elisa Longo Borghini back in 2013. Lizzie Deignan, twice a winner back in that chasing group for Trek Segafredo, but they've thrown it all in to launch Elisa Longo Borghini up the road. And for the first time we've seen so far this season, SD Worx missing out on that group. Our chasers go through the line, but now with 1 lap to go. 15 seconds now for Longo Borghini. 34 seconds back to that chasing group, and then the 4th group on the road at 55 seconds. So Longo Borghini here, Danny, she'll just want to get to that Castle Junior climb and then attack it again just to try and extend that gap just a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. We know that the climb is where you can really put even more time into your chasers behind. So the bigger time difference that you can have, or speed difference, the bigger gap that you can make. So she's going to be invested in making a big effort over the climb to try and sustain her lead even further before you descend and onto that real flat section of road before the final climb. That flat section of road is where Elisa Longo Borghini is going to find it the hardest to stay away, especially if the riders start really working well together in almost a team time trial formation. That's what's going to be tougher for Elisa Longo Borghini to stay away, but it is now Ale Cipollini who have come to the front.
So just going through that group, and it was Niamh Fisher-Black that led the 3rd group across the line with Chantal van den Broek Black on the wheel. Is it going to be the dream day here for Elisa Longo Borghini and Trek Segafredo? So there you have it, your former winners. So Vos, Nuviadoma, Corin Rivera, Lizzie Deignan twice there, Emma Johansson back in 2014 there for Sweden, and then Elisa Longo Borghini, the year before that. But this is a good move here by the Italian and pulling clear. 21 seconds now is the gap for Longo Borghini, and we saw the frustration, didn't we, in Strada Bianchi when she knew what she could sense what the tactics were of Esti work. She knew that the combination of rider that she had with her was not going to be the one that they would favour, because they wouldn't have expected Chantal van den Broek-Black to jump Elisa Longo Borghini on that final climb, and we could hear her frustration on the run into the finish in that one. But this is a perfect scenario for her. There's your Spanish national champion for La Ley BTC Ljubljana, Cecilie Uttrup-Ludwig. Little flick of the elbow there for FDJ Nouvelle Aquitaine for Futuroscope, in wearing 31 there. Voss in the yellow and black, Nuvia Doma for Canyon SRAM. So the team there, they've played that one perfectly for them. We saw Hannah Barnes, Tiff Cromwell on the attack. And then for Liv Racing, they have been on the attack all day for trying to set things up for the likes of Soraya Paladin, who's on the back of this group. But the gap holding fast here at 24 seconds. You've got the solo rider on the front, and then you've got Team Bike Exchange. You've got Anne Santesteban, who's the Spanish rider, on the front for Team Bike Exchange. You can see Lizzie Dignan right in the centre of that group. Erica Magnaldi there for Sarah Tizit WNT. And then you've got not too far from the back the Movistar rider, Katrina Allerud. So in there, so Bike Exchange, we've got Anne Santesteban. We saw Amanda Spratt in that group behind, but 30 seconds from that chasing group back to that third group on the road there. They're now setting almost a minute down behind Elisa Longo Borghini now as she hits this climb for the final time.
So it's in Elisa Longo Borghini's best interest to really attack this climb, and I think it'll be interesting to see what the chasers do behind, whether they try and stay together as a unit to really profit off the descent and the flat section of road that we've got that comes straight after this climb, or whether any of them are feeling particularly good to try and use this climb as a launch pad to get over to Elisa Longo Borghini. But Elisa's just looking in such incredible form. She looks so composed. She's not rock and rolling all over the bike. She's got such a smooth pedaling style. It's the best I've seen her in the last few years for sure.
Always an exciting rider to watch is Elisa Longo Borghini. Just takes the opportunity now on this climb to have a glance across and just see with that chasing group behind it. It is packed with big names in this one. Uttrup Ludwig here for FDJ. She's still hunting for that first big World Tour win, isn't she, Cecilie Uttrup Ludwig?
Yeah, she is. She's such a consistent rider. She's so aggressive, and she is really brave when it comes to you know, making moves and attacking in a race. And that's why she finds herself generally in the race-winning moves or attacks like she has today. But it would be good to see Cecilie Uttrup Ludwig take that victory. I think, unfortunately for Cecilie, she's not a super sprinter. So it's really hard in women's racing unless there's a really long climb that could suit her. It generally does come down to a smaller group, so you have to be able to sprint. So in this group today, you can see Marianne Vos. She's clearly feeling good because she's putting the pressure on the climb, and if she wasn't, she'd probably sit back and wait and be confident in her sprint. But she's not happy to take that second place today, and she's obviously wanting to put the pressure on to get back to Elisa Longo Borghini as she does crest the top of this climb and hits the narrow steep descent before she gets onto that big sort of dual carriageway road, really wide straight road before the right hand corner into the final climb. But it's Marianne Vos who's putting the pressure on this group behind to get back to the Italian Elisa Longo Borghini.
The trademark grimace of Cassia Nuvia Doma, Marianne Vos. You can see now the time gaps, 28 seconds from our lone leader, Longo Borghini, back to this chasing group. Then you've got nearly a minute in front of those groups. So you would say here already that the winner is going to come either from, if Longo Borghini can stay away, she's going to win it on her own. Those chasers, they're going to have to combine at some point. They'll get the time gaps in their ears, won't they, Danny? They've got to decide. Marianne Vos clearly really looks good. She's got to put in one of those big trademark Voss moves to make it, to try and get clear. But as you said, Longo Borghini now already on the descent here as she hits the bottom of the descent and then onto this this long, fast rolling road, and then it will just be one climb to go. We have the Orino climb, 3.9 kilometers in length, just under 4% is the gradient of that that final climb of the day. They're going to have to get this one together, Danny, and they're going to have to get it working quickly on this road because Longo Borghini is just time trialing her way here. You can see hands on the drops, the back super flat, that trademark star here of Elisa Longo Borghini, looking super strong for Trek Segafredo. Marianne Vos on the front for Jumbo-Visma here in the yellow and black colours. They've got some strength in this one, but they just don't seem to be able to get that chase organised at the moment.
They don't, and I think that's frustrating Marianne Vos. You can see her coming to the front of this group, and she knows that I think essentially they've only got 2 opportunities now to catch Elisa Longo Borghini or close that gap. And this is one of them. You can see now on the course profile, they are on the flatter section of this route before they hit the final climb. And I don't think any of them will match Elisa Longo Borghini on the climb. And then essentially she's one of the best descenders in the world. So they've only got the last couple of kilometers to the finish line to get together to be able to catch Elisa Longo Borghini. So I think for Elisa, if she can hit this last climb on her own, she's got a very good chance of winning, especially if this group doesn't start working together. She's holding that 29 seconds, and that's a long gap to try and get back. It looks like Cecilia Uttrup-Ludwig is just hanging on the back of this group now. She's got a bike length from her and Mavi Garcia, the Spanish champion. It does seem Marianne Vos is in the best shape of this group behind. So I do think Marianne Vos is going to hit this climb. She's obviously so experienced to know that unless she tries something on the climb, she's probably not going to be able to get back to Elisa Longo Borghini. So I think you're going to see some fireworks again on the climb. I don't think this group's going to be able to just stick together like this with less than 10 kilometers to go, especially seeing Elisa Longo Borghini in the shape that she's in.
And you can see the pressure going out of this group here. They've got to get it. They've got to get organised, and they've got to get organised. You can see the gap now going out to 30 seconds as they head towards the final climb of the day. Marianne Vos, Kasia Niewiadoma on the front here. Paladin's just having a glance back over the shoulder just to see if she can see that group behind. But they've got themselves almost a minute gap over those chasers behind. Trek Segafredo, they've had a couple of wins already this season. If you were with us for the Healthy Aging Tour, they had the individual time trial win and the general classification victory in that one with Ellen van Dijk. So Elisa Longo Borghini is looking to give the team its 3rd victory of the season. Uttrup-Ludwig just rolling through on the front of this one. You can see the big gears really being everyone's just got it right in the big gears along this one, Danny, just keeping the pressure really high.
They are, and it looks like Marianne Vos again is just so... She really wants to get this group moving behind. This is the opportunity for them to really get together and ride as a unit, which they don't seem to be able to do. Elisa Longo Borghini's out front. She's able to ride at her own tempo, really in that aero position now. She's tucking her elbows in to try and become as aero as possible, but it's still Marianne Vos on the front of this group as they start the final climb of this race today.
1 against 5 that you've got here, but it's not a really organised chase here at the moment. And as Danny said, Elisa Longo Borghini at the front, just able to ride that tempo. I think as we hit this climb, Danny, I think Marianne Vos has just dropped to the back of the group here. She'll just be lining up to try and launch a big move off the front on this final climb of the day, the Orino climb, 3.9 kilometers in length, and it is a fast one, isn't it? It's just under 4%, but it's steep enough to make a difference.
It is. There's a steep section in the middle of this climb, which goes up to 7% in gradient, and that's generally the time that we see the moves being made. So that was when Cassia Nieuwedome attacked the last time we came up this climb and really started the fireworks of this race to whittle it down and then give Trek the opportunity to counter and profit off Cassia Nieuwedome's attack. But you can see Elisa Longo Borghini now. She's in and out of the saddle. She's really given it everything. She knows that this is the last opportunity for her to really use her strength and power to put any time that she can into this chasing group behind. It's Mavi Garcia on the front now looking behind. But these riders just don't seem to have it or be able to match Elisa Longo Borghini, even in a group of 5. They're all kind of looking at each other now and sussing each other out, and that's really benefiting Elisa Longo Borghini out front. The gap is actually creeping up now, 32 seconds to Longo Borghini. It's Cassia Nieuwedome now in that nice Canyon SRAM kit, the firework kit of the Canyon SRAM team. Soraya Paladin from Live Racing on her wheel, followed by Marianne Vos, who is looking in super shape, but unfortunately isn't having the compliance from the other members of this group.
Marianne Vos presses through to the front here for Jumbo-Visma. And there you have it. So you can see 28 stages of the Giro racer. We always say with Marianne Vos, it's difficult to say what she hasn't won in her career. She's had 231 victories on the road alone. It's sometimes difficult to keep track of all the victories across all the different disciplines. But Marianne Vos, that her career still going from strength to strength, and really excited now by this new Jumbo-Visma team and the difference that she can make in that one. Soraya Paladin on the front there for Live Racing, the 27-year-old, had a great season back in 2019. Really was the rider. She was the queen of the mountains for me on that season. 4 times she was the queen of the mountains in races in 2019. Good to see her up and in that chasing group behind. 38 seconds, now pushing out to almost 40 seconds for Longo Borghini. As he said, she's from Ornevaso, which is kind of just across the Lake Maggiore. So you kind of have to go around Lake Maggiore to get to Ornevaso, but it's not that far as the crow flies. So as she said, this feels very much like a local race for her. And I think Marianne Vos, you can just hear the gears shifting. Mavi Garcia for LABTC as they start to round some of these corners. We get into the steep section of this one. Vos is going to have to launch her move fairly soon, but 43 seconds for Elisa Longo Borghini. This victory is looking closer and closer now, Danny.
It really is, Marty, and I think for the group behind, with Marianne Vos in that group, I think what you're going to see is they will realise that Elisa Longo Borghini is out of reach, and then they're going to have to try and get rid of Marianne Vos because she will win that sprint behind. I could put my money on it now, but for Elisa Longo Borghini, you can almost see the speed difference between Longo Borghini and the 5 riders behind. She's just in such good shape. She's really powering through and she's in top form. She's obviously using that frustration that she had after Strade Bianche, where she made the move, Chantal Black followed. Chantal Black wouldn't work with Longo Borghini, so Longo did all the work to that finishing climb and unfortunately didn't quite have it in the legs to beat Chantal in that final sprint. And it's Marianne Vos again, out of the saddle. She's trying her last-ditch attempt to try and get over to Elisa Longo Borghini. She knows she can win out of this group, but she's just trying to put the pressure on to see if they can find any power within this group to get back to Longo Borghini. But it's 50 seconds now, 8.4 kilometers to go. So I'm going to say it now, Marty. I'm going to say Elisa Longo Borghini's got this.
Yeah, I think you could be quite assured of that. Do you know what though? I'm quite pleased I didn't predict her today, because she's kind of my go-to in predictions a lot of the time is Elisa Longo Borghini. So I didn't give her the, as we always say at GCN, the curse of GCN. So you can hear that the DS is in the car behind, and Giorgia Bronzini, Ina Yoko Teutenberger, the DSs for Trek Segafredo, and 2 fabulous director sportives, and really making a difference difference to this Trek Segafredo team. But you're seeing this rider, the Italian champion, at her absolute brilliant best today in terms of this one on this climb. You can still see a little bit of snow on the side here for as the riders head around. If you are just joining us today, welcome aboard. This is round 2 of the Women's World Tour for 2021, the Trofeo Alfredo Binda. We are on the final climb of the day, the arena climb, and our solo leader, Lisa Longoborghini of Trek Segafredo, looking pretty good now for her second victory in this race. 46th edition of the Trofeo Alfredo Binda. We are in Citilio today, the birthplace of the famous Italian cyclist Alfredo Binda, whose name is given to this race, and I think he would be smiling on the effort that Elisa Longoborghini is making here. It was a successful, such a stylish rider, Alfredo Binda, and I think he'd be proud to see the Italian and national champions jersey racing to the top of this climbing, heading down into the finish with a gap now, Danny, of over a minute for Longoborghini. Trek Segafredo have played this one perfectly today.
They absolutely have, and I think it's a real team effort today. We saw Audrey really making all the moves in the early part of this race, and then Ruth Winder set the pace up that penultimate climb of the Areno climb. It really set up the attack of Taylor Wiles. Cassia Nieuwedome, obviously from Canyon SRAM team, decided to launch her attack, and it gave Elisa the opportunity to attack off the back of Cassia. So a real great team performance today, but Elisa Longoborghini is just looking phenomenal. She's putting more time into the chase group behind as we go on to into the last 7 kilometers of this race.
The chasing group heading towards the summit of the Areno climb for the final time. Mavi Garcia of LA BTC Ljubljana has just been dropped off the group under the pressure of Cassia Nieuwedome. But the pressure completely out now, Danny, as they all look around at each other. The strength and might of Mariana Vos just cancelling out this this chase, as that allows Mavi Garcia just to ride back onto the group.
It is, and what you're seeing there is those riders not wanting to take Mariana Vos to the line. So they're saying, we know that you can beat us in a sprint, so you can do all the work now, especially, you know, that Elisa Longoborghini is nearly a minute up the road. So it's great for Elisa Longoborghini that Mariana Vos is in that group behind, but for Mariana that's so frustrating, because I know that second place isn't enough for Mariana Vos. She'll want to win this race, but without the cohesion of the other riders in that group behind, that isn't really going to happen. So it really profits Elisa Longoborghini and Trek Segafredo, but unfortunately for that group, they're not going to take the win. And for Mariana Vos, she's going to have to do all the work in this last 6 kilometers, because those riders don't want to have to out-sprint her come the finish line.
It's hard being a legend, isn't it? Some days you gotta say that. It's hard to be Mariana Vos sometimes when you're a complete legend. It must be lonely some days. You can see just dropped out to the back of the group now, and it's difficult. It's frustrating sometimes in that situation, but she's dropped to the back of the group here. That little lull over the top just allowed the Spanish national champion Mavi Garcia just to come back into the group. So it's good to see Mavi on good form today for LA BTC Ljubljana. But we're getting a little move now off the front of this one from Cassia Nieuwedome. Perhaps wants to ride in here solo for a second place. Again, as Danny said, no one wants to try and out sprint Mariana Vos on this one, and again on the climb as well. It's you know, Mariana looked so strong on the climb. I think if they'd launched the attacks on the climb, I think Mariana would have just countered all of those. But our lone leader for Trek Segafredo, inside 5 kilometers to go now into Citilio, and her team set it up absolutely beautifully today. Utter perfection, you would say, in launching that one for Trek Segafredo. And good to see here in the second round of the Women's World Tour for 2021, our second outing here in Italy, that we're going to have a home winner in this one today.
She's looking so composed still. 4.5 kilometres to go for Elisa Longo Borghini. She's been out on her own for the best part of a lap now. Marty, just over a lap, she attacked on this climb, the climb that she's just got over the top of in the lap beforehand. So she's just got this final descent stretch to go now. There is a little kick up before the technical descent, and then she'll have the run into the line. So for Elisa Longo Borghini, she's just got to put her head down now all the way to the finish, but she has got nearly a minute ahead of this group behind. It looks like Soraya Paladin just getting out the saddle there, looking around to test the other riders and see who's up for keeping this chase on. But it does look like the will and the motivation has come out of this group now.
I think you got to look at that one, just launch a big move from the back of that one. Worth pointing out as well that heading towards a victory here in Trofeo Alfredo Binda, and still got her empty gel wrappers sticking out of her pocket is Elisa Longo Borghini. So it's got her gel wrappers still sticking out of her pocket, which is always worth pointing out. As our chasing group leaving the Jumbo-Visma rider Mariana Vos on the front, the new team. We do have to have a bit of a word with the kit manufacturers for Jumbo-Visma, because the new pocket that they've got on the back of their jerseys, you can't see the numbers quite so clearly because the sun shines on them and it cancels out the number of the riders a lot of the time. But we've got an attack now from into that corner on this descent. You would say we look at the way Cassie and Nuvia Doma, and we know how Nuvia Doma from Canyon SRAM can descend. 3k to go point there for Longo Borghini. Just got to get through these tight twists and turns, but Nuvia Doma, we know what a descender that she is. We're starting to get a bit of a move now as they stretch this group out on this descent. A little closer look down.
Sorry, last opportunity there for Cassie and Doma to get away from these riders. She won't want to come down. She won't want this group to come down to a sprint. She'll be looking for a second place, if not a third place to podium in this event. So she is one of the top descenders. Elisa Longo Borghini still getting out of the saddle. She's trying to find every single bit of power that she's got left coming into this last 2.4 kilometres. But it was Mariana Vos who closed that gap to Cassie and Doma straight away. She has got the legs. She's looking absolutely fantastic, but unfortunately didn't get the cohesion from the group behind.
Should be looking for 2 kilometres to go. Elisa Longo Borghini, the Italian champion, shoes to go with the Italian champions jersey, and heading in now second for a second victory in Trofeo Alfredo Binda. This will be a home victory. A local rider coming in to take this one, and she'll be looking for that flamme rouge across the road and attacking this circuit. Every opportunity, every single little rise here, Danny. She's out of the saddle. She does not want to leave anything to chance in this one.
She doesn't, and it just shows she's still got the power in her legs to be able to get out the saddle. Generally, when you're suffering so much, you can hardly find any strength to get out the saddle, but she's got it. You know, she's finding that speed, extra speed. Every few kilometres, she's getting out the saddle and finding a little sprint inside herself. So she's not giving up. Still, even though this victory is pretty much wrapped up, you know, over a minute gap with only 1.3 kilometres to go. But that is the class of Elisa Longo Borghini. She's going to give it everything, and she's going to give it everything to the line. It is a home race. She hasn't won this race since 2013, so this is going to mean a lot to the Italian rider. Here's your group behind, and it's Mariana Vos again who is on the front. I think you're going to see riders trying to attack from behind and catch Mariana Vos off guard. You do not want to take Mariana Vos to a finish like this. She's won this race 4 times. It's not going to be a 5th. The victory this year is going to go to Elisa Longo Borghini as she goes under the flamme rouge with 1 kilometre to go.
We just saw Soraya Paladin on the back of the group just starting to tighten her shoes up, but just Longo Borghini now will probably start to believe even more in this one, as she'll know this finish just through the roundabouts, and will have that final right-hand turn and that little rise up towards the line. 500 meters to go now. You can hear the motorbikes just beeping the horns, celebrating this one. Just starts now. Elisa Longoborghini just talking into the radio now to let the team know she knows that she's got this one. It's the final turn for the Italian national champion here in Trofeo, Alfredo Binda in Citilio. It's Elisa Longoborghini out of the saddle. A ride, absolute perfection, you would say, today for this one. And all of Italy will start to smile. 50 meters to go now. That Italian national champions jersey. There you have it. Elisa Longoborghini is your victor here on the 46th edition of the Trofeo Alfredo Binda for Trek Segafredo. Phenomenal ride for the Italian now, Danny. The sprint behind for second spot.
That was such an incredible victory for Elisa. What a gutsy, brave move. She said she had to be braver when it comes to attacking and believing in herself. And I think she's really found that this year. She's found the strength in this team. She's so happy with the, you know, the composition of riders that they've got, and the DS in Ina Teutenberg and Giorgia Bronzini. I'm sure that was Giorgia Bronzini shouting out of the car, and she was very hot on that horn, and that is something that I know Giorgia Bronzini would be doing. So fantastic ride from Elisa Longoborghini and the whole team at Trek Segafredo. But it'll be interesting to see what's happening now in this move behind. I hope we are going to see them coming into the finish line.
Yeah, we're getting now to a minute. They're concentrating on the Italian champions jersey. The group can't be far behind, and here they are. They're lining it up. It's Cecilie Uttrup-Ludwig on the front. Mariana Vos in the yellow. She might want second wheel out of this corner. Paladin moves up. Garcia in the left there. The Spanish champions jersey. Nuvia Doma now on the inside. Cecilie Uttrup-Ludwig's going to be forced to lead out on this one. That bottom corner. Mariana Vos just trying to find her way out. Nuvia Doma getting ready. Now they launch their sprint. Mariana Vos, the last time we were here in 2019, it was for the victory. Is it going to be second spot today? It looks like it is. Nuvia Doma and Uttrup-Ludwig are fighting it out for the third spot on the podium, but Mariana Vos takes seconds. Uttrup-Ludwig, Nuvia Doma, Paladin and Garcia are your order across the line. Not to be a fifth victory for Mariana Vos today, but a second spot on the podium. And it looks tougher than it is, that sprint, Danny.
It is. It's really tough, especially after over 140 kilometres of racing and the terrain of that course. You can see Elisa Longoborghini there with Giorgia Bronzini and family members, I believe. But yeah, it's a really tough finish. It's 300 metres, it's 3%. But again, after 140 kilometres of racing, it really, really does hurt. I remember cramping on that finish on multiple occasions. But it's a perfect finish for Mariana Vos, and we did see her take that second spot behind this rider, Elisa Longoborghini, for Team Trek Segafredo.
Here comes the sprint for the minor placings, and they're sprinting it out here as Elisa Balsamo coming in for Valcor Travel and Service. We'll have a get confirmation of that one. That's the group sprint behind. But a good day out. I must say, I'll reword what I said in that one. The finish is tougher than it looks on TV. I think I got it the wrong way around when I said it in that one. But there's the Italian champion, Longoborghini, Giorgia Bronzini. You can see there celebrating. But on the day, in a great sunny day, Trofeo Alfredo Binda belongs to Elisa Longoborghini and Trek Segafredo. It just showed the run-in though as well, Danny, in terms of just, there's the sprint there. Mariana Vos won that comfortably ahead of Cecilie Uttrup-Ludwig, but just showing the way Elisa, that attack, when she went, and then attacking every single rise in terms of just every single second that she could find.
Yeah, she's obviously in top form. We saw it in Strada Bianchi, although it didn't quite work out for her with that final climb up. Chantel managed to pip her on. You can just see the strength and power that Elisa Longo Borghini has got coming into this season, and I think she's going to be a tough one to beat, especially in the Olympics, for example. It's a course that could suit Elisa Longo Borghini. So I think she's going to take so much confidence in her ability. She's also found the confidence in herself to be able to make moves like that and not question her own ability. And like I said before in the commentary, I think having Lizzie Deignan on the team has really helped Elisa. I think she's a confident rider that's really confident in her own ability, but she's really given that strength to Elisa to be able to be brave and make moves like that. And we saw her, she kept getting out of the saddle, she kept trying to find little bits of power here and there, and the gap just kept going up and up and up. There wasn't really one moment where I thought that, oh, this is looking dodgy for Elisa Longo Borghini. She kept putting the gap into those group of 5 chasers behind, and that really shows how strong she is at this moment in time. And also, I think for the team as well, we can't forget that cycling is such a team sport, and Trek Segafredo rode that so well. They had Audrey Cordon-Rego marshalling the moves at the front and being aggressive. And you can see now Taylor Wiles coming up to Elisa Longo Borghini. Ruth Winder as well, the American champ that you can see here now with the stars on her sleeves. She set the pace into that climb that really hurt the legs of the others and gave Elisa the opportunity to attack. So we saw Taylor Wiles attack off the back of Ruth Winder. Cassia Neudommia actually attacked after Taylor Wiles, but Elisa Longo Borghini was obviously feeling on absolute top form to be able to just go straight past Cassia Neudommia and keep putting time into that group behind. So chapeau to Elisa.
It's the confidence as well to go as far out as she went as well, because some riders maybe would have been thinking just that final lap, that final climb, but having that confidence to go that little bit further out. Also, you know, that the confidence in that time trial ability as well. It's just, I think that's what sort of really was key for me today. That's what when you look at Elisa going forward now in the season, and you mentioned the Olympics, she got bronze in 2016, but you see now that it's that confidence that's going to go that bit further out than some riders perhaps sometimes might think of attacking. Let's have a look at your top 10 though. So it's Elisa Longo Borghini from Aranov, Cecilia Treblovic, Cassia Neudommia, Soraya Paladin, Mavi Garcia. It was Elisa Balsamo that led the chasing group in ahead of Sofia Bertizzolo, Emilia Fallin and Florentia Mackay. 2 minutes and 46 seconds separating your top 10 today. Heading towards the podium. So my pick led the chasing group in today, Danny, so I'm going to take that one from Elisa Balsamo.
Yeah, it was a good pick. I think we're going to hear from Elisa now.
Io sì, oggi stavo bene e la mia squadra aveva deciso di mandarmi all'attacco in anticipo, perché avevamo comunque Lizzie Deignan che è una ragazza molto veloce e alla fine, quando mi sono trovata davanti, ho pensato alla gara di ieri, a Stuyven, che ho detto è tutto o niente, e a volte è tutto, a volte niente, oggi è stato tutto.
Sei partita quando il gruppo aveva appena raggiunto delle fuggitive e l'andatura era molto sostenuta, vuol dire che ne avevi più di tutte oggi.
Sì, come ho già detto, io oggi stavo bene, sono in una buona condizione e la mia squadra ha creduto in me, le ragazze hanno lavorato tantissimo, siamo state, credo, la squadra meglio organizzata oggi, devo ringraziarle molto, quindi grazie alla Trek Segafredo, grazie alle Fiamme Oro, che è il gruppo sportivo della Polizia di Stato che mi sta supportando ormai da tanti anni.
Senti, una doppietta fantastica per la vostra squadra, Sanremo ieri e Cittigno oggi.
Sì, credo che non si possa chiedere di più, sono... Per gli uomini ovviamente la Sanremo è la grande classica di primavera e per noi il Trofeo Binda pure, quindi penso che possiamo rimanere contenti.
C'è una dedica particolare?
Sinceramente vorrei dedicare questa corsa a chi ha creduto in me, a chi mi è sempre vicino e a tutte quelle persone che magari non sono presenti fisicamente qui ma che ci sono con il pensiero.
So Elisa, I was just trying to pick that out there. I thought we were going to get a question in English. Super happy, really happy with the team. Thanked all her team for all the work that they've done. She couldn't ask for more today. And there you have it. We will leave you there with the pictures of the day. It's a double big weekend here in Italy for Trek Segafredo taking Milan San Remo yesterday, and also Trofeo Alfredo Binda today, your winner of round 2 of the Women's World Tour. So Lisa Longo-Borghini, thanks for your company today. From Martin McDonald and Danny Rowe, we are back in the week with the Brugge de Panna. Make sure you join us for that one. Keep it here on Eurosport GCN, your home of cycling. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.